Let me tell you about Emily. Picture this, a quiet evening in a pristine suburban home just outside Chicago. The kind where the lawns are always manicured and the secrets are buried deeper than the roots. Emily, 20 years old, stands in the living room, her hands trembling as she holds up her phone like a weapon. The screen glows with an email from the Juilliard School's blind audition panel, a callback. Her voice, raw from years of hidden practice, had finally broken through. But her parents, David and Sarah, sit there on the leather couch, their faces twisting not with pride, but with a frantic denial that hits her like a gut punch. "This is a scam, Emily," David snaps, his voice laced with that familiar condescension. "You're not ready for that world." Sarah nods, her eyes darting away, adding, "We're just looking out for you. Honey, music. It's not your path." In that moment, something inside Emily doesn't just crack, it shatters. The words they've drilled into her for years, "You're adequate at best. Stick to something safe," suddenly feel like chains. But this time, the lie unravels, and what spills out isn't forgiveness. It's the slow burn of betrayal, igniting a fire that would consume them all. Emily had always been the quiet one, the girl who faded into the background of her family's polished life. David was a respected music professor at Northwestern University, specializing in classical composition. His lectures packed with adoring students who hung on his every analysis of Mozart and Debussy. Sarah, once a promising cellist with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, had given it up after a nervous episode she never spoke about, now channeling her energy into teaching private lessons from their home studio. Their house was a shrine to melody, grand piano in the corner, shelves lined with vinyl records and yellowed sheet music, the air always humming with the faint echo of strings or keys. Growing up, Emily breathed it in like oxygen. As a kid, while her friends kicked soccer balls or built forts, she'd sneak into the studio, her small fingers tracing the curves of Sarah's cello, humming tunes she'd overheard. But every time she dared to touch an instrument, the velvet rope came down. "Emily, that's not for playing around," David would say, steering her away with a firm hand. "Why don't you try reading a book instead?" It was gentle at first, a nudge, but it planted the seed of doubt early, making her wonder if she was just not enough. By the time she was 10, the nudges turned to walls. Emily had saved her allowance for a second-hand ukulele, strumming simple chords in her closet after lights out. One day, she gathered her courage and played a little folk song for Sarah in the kitchen, her voice tentative but clear. Sarah listened, her face a mask, then patted Emily's shoulder. "That's sweet, Em. But real talent, it's in the blood. Or it's not. You can't force it." The words lodged in Emily's chest like shards of glass, cutting deeper each time she replayed them. So she went underground. Late nights with earbuds in, devouring online vocal tutorials on her laptop, her screen the only light in the dark room. She joined the school choir anonymously, blending her voice into the group. Never soloing. Mr. Harlan, the choir director, pulled her aside once. "You've got a spark, kid. Don't hide it." His encouragement was a lifeline. But at home, it was silence. David and Sarah pushed practical paths, business school, maybe law. The music industry chews people up, David lectured over dinner, his fork stabbing the air. Rejection after rejection. "We want stability for you." Emily nodded, swallowing the ache. But inside, the resentment simmered. Why did their passion get to flourish while hers was smothered? High school amplified the isolation. Friends chased dreams, sports scholarships, art portfolios, but Emily's fire was doused before it could blaze. She poured her hidden melodies into a journal, lyrics scrawled in the margins, songs about longing and invisible cages. The pressure built like a storm cloud. College applications loomed, and David insisted on reviewing hers. No music minors. Emily. Focus on economics. She complied on paper, but in secret. She applied to community college with a vocal performance elective. Then came the night that cracked the facade. Emily mentioned offhand her dream of auditioning for a local conservatory. David's response was ice cold. Don't kid yourself or us. Your voice is fine for karaoke. But the big leagues? You'd embarrass everyone. Sarah sighed. That perfected sound of disappointment. Some folks aren't built for the spotlight. Know your limits. Limits they'd drawn for her since birth. But that night, alone in her room, the spark ignited into fury. Their cruelty wasn't casual, it was calculated. And Emily decided she wouldn't shrink anymore. She'd push back hard. The online forum for underground musicians became her escape. Scrolling through threads of shared heartbreaks, she spotted it, an ad for the National Conservatory's blind auditions in New York. No names, no faces, just the music. It was a chance to strip away the judgment, to let her voice stand alone. The idea obsessed her. Fear knotted her stomach. What if she failed? But the alternative, a life scripted by their doubts, was worse. She planned in shadows. Scraped together cash from her part-time barista gig at a local coffee shop, buying a cheap microphone online. Practice sessions were stolen moments, in the empty choir room after school, or in the basement laundry room when her parents were out. She chose two pieces, a haunting aria from Puccini that made her soul ache, and a gritty indie ballad about breaking free. Each note was a rebellion, her voice growing bolder. Rawr. The towel under her door muffled the sound, but not the resolve building inside her. Recording was a covert war. The house felt like a prison. Every creak a potential betrayal. Emily found refuge at Mrs. Patel's next door, an elderly widow with hearing aids turned low, who let Emily study in her cluttered sun porch after helping with errands. Surrounded by faded curtains and potted plants, Emily poured her heart into the mic. The aria soared. Releasing years of pent-up pain, the ballad whispered her fury. She recorded obsessively, deleting flaws, honing until it hurt. Uploading to the portal was terror incarnate, her finger hovering, breath shallow. Click. Done. The 2-week wait was agony. Every ping on her phone sent her pulse racing. She jumped at shadows. Zoned out at family dinners. You okay? Sarah asked once. Concern feigned. Just stressed, Emily lied. The pile of deceptions growing. Guilt twisted her gut. But their preemptive dismissal would have crushed her. The secret was her armor. Then, in the coffee shop's back room during a break, her phone buzzed. The email, "Congratulations on your callback." Her world tilted. Tears blurred her vision as she slumped against the wall. Validation from strangers who knew talent. It wasn't just joy, it was vindication. Emily floated home. Naive hope bubbling, maybe this would change them. Show them she wasn't the failure they'd painted. That evening, after dinner, she confronted them. I have news, she said. Voice steady despite the quake inside. I auditioned blindly for the National Conservatory, and I got a callback. Silence. Then David's laugh. Bitter and hollow, nice try. But those are mass emails. Sarah's eyes widened. You did this behind our backs? Emily thrust the phone forward. Read it. They heard me, really heard me. But David waved it away. It's a ploy. You're not equipped. The argument erupted. Emily's voice rose. You've always shut me down. Why? Sarah's face paled. We're protecting you. Protecting? It felt like sabotage. David's flush deepened. We forbid you to go. Forbid. At 20. The words snapped something primal in her. The house turned to ice. Days of avoidance. Stilted exchanges. Emily's mind raced. Piecing together the sabotage, the lost entry form for a school talent show at 12, the too expensive music camp at 15. While they splurged on a home theater, patterns emerged, deliberate barriers. Their panic wasn't parental concern, it was fear of her light outshining their shadows. Why? The question festered. Sleep evaded her, replaced by a cold determination. She wouldn't beg for their blessing. She'd expose them. A few days later, she cornered them in the living room. Tell me the truth, she demanded. Why have you crushed me all these years? Sarah cracked first, sobs breaking free. David sighed. Defeated, you were never adequate. Emily, you were gifted from the start. Gifted? The revelation hit like a freight train. As a toddler, she'd mimicked complex melodies perfectly. They'd seen it. But fear poisoned their pride. Sarah's breakdown in the orchestra, panic attacks, lost opportunities. David's mentor, ruined by the industry's grind. We saw that fire in you, David admitted. Voice breaking. And it scared us. We thought, if we convinced you otherwise, you'd be safe from the pain we endured. The truth was a blade, twisting deep. Years of lies, engineered doubt, all to protect her from their failures. Anger surged. You had no right. You made me hate myself. Tears flowed. A storm of betrayal. Pity flickered for their broken dreams. But it couldn't douse the rage. They'd betrayed her trust. Silenced her soul. Forgiveness? Not yet. Instead, vengeance brewed, a quiet, calculated kind. Emily went to the callback. Not for glory, but to weaponize her success. She aced it, earning a spot. But she didn't stop. She posted her story online anonymously at first, detailing the emotional abuse, the sabotage disguised as love. It went viral on forums, then Reddit, drawing media attention. Parents who killed dreams, a survivor's tale. The backlash hit David and Sarah hard. Students boycotted David's classes. Sarah's lessons dried up. Whispers in their social circle turned to stares. Emily watched from afar, her heart a mix of triumph and hollow ache. The price was steep. Family ties severed, holidays alone. Emily's music career blossomed, a debut album. Tours, but the scars lingered. Nightmares of their panicked faces. The guilt of her exposure. Was it worth it? The silence between them screamed yes. But the void whispered no. Vengeance had freed her voice. But at the cost of her home. In the end, she stood on stage under glaring lights, singing not just for herself, but as a warning. Betrayal breeds its own melody. And sometimes, the chorus is regret.